Welcome back. If you're just joining, of course, this is Daybreak on Trust Television. And if you've missed any part of the program started since 8 a.m. You could catch up by following our live stream on Facebook and, of course, on YouTube, so you don't miss any part of this conversation. Of course, we've gotten to the crux of the conversation, talking about the discussion segment of the program, where we will be extending the conversation on the local government autonomy and the Supreme Court verdict that affirmed the autonomy of the local government. So the Senate has urged state and local governments to immediately comply with the Supreme Court judgment granting financial autonomy to local governments. Now, previous attempts to amend the 1999 Constitution has focused on local government reforms gaining attention due to federal efforts to restructure this government tier. Now, in May, the federal government filed a suit to protect local government funds and ensure democracy by preventing governors from dissolving councils and also, of course, setting up and appointing caretaker committees. And the Supreme Court ruling on July 11 enforces financial autonomy and bars governors from removing elected local councils. Now, let's take a look at, of course, the package from the Senate, where, of course, the senators spoke extensively on the implementation of the local government autonomy. The resolution was reached after lawmakers reconvened from a closed-door session preceded by a rowdy debate in the Senate chambers over alleged attempts by some state governments to circumvent the ruling of the July 11 Supreme Court pronouncement. The debate followed a motion moved by Senator representing Anambra North, Tony Nwoye.
Few state governments, through their respective state House of Assembly, through their different state House of Assembly, seek to enact laws, while some have already enacted laws and continue to take action that undermine the financial autonomy of local governments, thereby breaching the constitutional provision 1999 Constitution as well as the judgment of the Supreme Court. The Senate further concerned that the modus operandi of subverting this financial autonomy of local governments by state government through the House of Assembly is to insert clauses.
One after another, lawmakers who contributed to the debate underscored the urgency for adherence to judicial mandates to enhance transparency and accountability in local governance.
Local governments should be allowed to exercise that responsibility of a third tier of government. So in any attempt of any state House of Assembly trying to make law that will now mandate this revenue coming to local governments to be controlled by another account before the money gets to the local government, I think is undermining the Supreme Court judgment.
The court has already decided that the money of the local government councils should be released directly to the councils. And for us to start debating it, it's going against the spirit of the Constitution, since there is already a constitutional provision to that effect.
Of course, those are the submissions of lawmakers on the floor of plenary when they debated on the implementation of the local government autonomy. Now, joining me this morning on the program is Mukhtar Moddibo. He is the Secretary General of Follow the Money International. Mukhtar, welcome to the program. You've seen this back and forth on the conversation of the implementation of local governments. Now, I'm really glad that you're here because of the kind of work you've done, especially, at the grassroots level. What would you say has been more of the problem? Is it political or more of a constitutional problem?
So pretty much I think there are quite a number of problems, from personal relationship to financial relationship to autonomy and accountability to the constitutional and legal framework. Now, if we're going by what I mentioned in seriatim, if you take a look and see the Constitution from 1976 to the 1979 Constitution, as well as the 1999 Constitution as amended, Section 149, subsection 2, paragraph 4, 5, 6, 7, all speaks about that level of local government reforms. And then from that period of time to 1995, to 2006, all these conversations were conversations of local government reforms. But what are the things that have been hindering that local government reforms? Has to do with that financial autonomy and accountability, that personal relationship, that issue of the constitution as well as legal frameworks. Now, when we talk about relationships and what have you, or before talking about relationship, if we look at how local government elections are being conducted, if you see, it's always been conducted by the state independent electoral commissions across all the states.
Appointed by the state governors.
Appointed by the state governors, and even the commissioners are being appointed by the state governors. I mean, it says to be an independent body, but if you look at what's happened is, I don't think in the recent time we've ever seen an election that the party that is not in power, right, eventually sweep the thing. The only one we've got is now PDP in Akwa Ibom, where the Senate President, even the Senate President and the Deputy Senate President and every other person in the House was surprised to say the Senate President has won his word. Which is surprising, and what is happening in the River Burhaha. So the reality is, I think a lot of times when the creation of, in all state, creation of local government and chieftaincy affairs ministries were created, obviously it's now become that issue of autonomy and relationship, personal relationship between the governors and the local government chairmen, and then stuff like that. So can it work? If it work, will it reduce a lot of things? Yes, it will reduce a lot of things, because from insecurity, right, to issues of poverty and what have you, because if you look at the way the legal framework of a local government is more of like a subordinate government that is coming from a power of federal legislation and a state legislation. So what do you tend to see? I mean, local government is the closest government to the people, right? So if you look at, there are a lot of responsibility, roles and responsibilities of local government. Basic education is largely attributed to the local government. Basic health is largely attributed to the local government with the support of the federal government and then the state government. So if these things are really, you have someone to hold, you have someone to hold accountable, definitely there will be that point of improvement in livelihood. So one of the things we're seeing now is because the local government have not been working, right? The autonomy, they lack the autonomy, the political will, the relationship, as well as now that we are now battling with the enforcement by the Supreme Court. Supreme Court has that enforcement power of saying the law, right? But they don't have the enforcement power of implementing what is going on. Elections are being conducted across states, but how independent can these people be?
I mean, it's a great place to continue the conversation from, bearing in mind that, yes, the Supreme Court has made the pronouncement. The governors are, in a last-minute effort, pushing to ensure that this local government chairmen are elected, as well as the local government councillors. But then there's also the issue of some lookers and watchers saying that this might not still be an election, owing to the fact that some of this electoral process that we've seen, has not really been what some would call transparent. I give an example. I was watching a program, and then somebody alluded to the fact that in Rivers State, for example, you have a state government that is PDP, you have a House of Assembly that is predominantly APC, and then you have a local government structure that is now predominantly the APP. So 3 states running different tiers of the state government, making it difficult. But then, bearing in mind that state governors through the state houses of assembly have got extreme power in terms of, controlling most of the activities. For example, what we saw in Lagos State, where we saw a local government chairman get suspended by the state house, of assembly. This can be replicated in different parts, of Nigeria, talking about the state governors and the kind of powers that they have. Would you now say the Supreme Court verdict in itself is enough for us to see this much needed autonomy start coming in? How much of work needs to go in terms of constitutional amendments to ensure that these real autonomies, get to the grassroots?
So first of all, if you look at the Supreme Court verdict, it's an agreement of all the judges. It's a 7-man panel. That is a good thing, right? Nobody has different opinion over it. They have said their own. And so that means they have set a precedence for the legal framework to happen. Now, what's will happen next is obviously what the implementation will be, and that's where we always had gaps. What is the president saying? And I like the fact that the Senate are now at the forefront of amending things, having even a closed-door meeting to discuss this effectively. Sagir, we have been ravaged by insecurity for the past couple of years, right? And one of the things that allude to that particular thing is the lack of the point of local government chairmen across this local government. Everybody is looking to the governor when there should be someone that you can, hold and catch, right? So the reality now is just for us to see what is the implementation. I like what Bauchi State government did to say we're scrapping Ministry of Local Government because, we are implementing this to the fullest, right? So the biggest point, the biggest word to use is political will. Are we willing to allow these people do something? Are the local government chairmen or the people that are coming in, are they willing to do something? And above all, are they willing to carry the communities? Are they willing to carry citizens along? And then are citizens ready to ask them questions, right, about what the local government is tend to achieve, and then what are they doing around basic education, sanitations, as well as basic health. So we just need to know that everything is not about the subnational government and the national government. The local government are also government, and they are meant to do some particular things. I think it's a race that all of us need to come together and then, engage in that race and see how we can win the race together. But if not, I don't think just the Supreme Court verdict will be like an ultimatum for everything to happen. In the case of Rivers, I don't think party affiliation is something. Party affiliation is during campaigns, and what I believe is immediately after coming to power, all parties are not something we should be talking about. We should be talking about Rivers people. We should be talking about the people, right? Serving the people. Whether you're in party A or party B, all you want to do is to come and serve. So if you are being given the opportunity to come and serve, it doesn't look at any party affiliation. The only thing is, there is a political crisis in that state that I think need a lot of wisdom, right? Both parties need to understand that, okay, these people are suffering because you're shifting leadership to crisis, and just understand and come amicably and, drop the whole thing and engage in a point.
Let's not dabble so much into reverse politics so we don't start discussing that instead, of course. But the Follow the Money campaign, interestingly, has got its roots really deep in. Talk about from the national level to the state to the local down to the world level. You have individuals working assiduously, continuously tracking projects of government and following the money as it's seen. What, from your observation of the activities of your team, would you say the local governments and the grassroots lack in terms of exposure to activities of politicians? How well do you think that they can hold these local governments accountable now that they've, just gotten wind of this newfound autonomy that they're still living in a bubble around?
Yeah, so one of the first things we've realized for the past 12 years doing what we're doing is our model is not a model of a Mukhtar will always go and track. Our model is a model where we give out to people, we build people's capacity, and then our main resources are the people, because we want to do the activities that we're doing with the people, by the people, and for the people. So all we want to do is each and every community we get, we stay in that community for 3 months, build the capacity of that community so that sustainability and stability will take place. So over time, I will tell you, one of the first thing we lack is, the first thing is people trust to government systems, right? People trust to individuals that are in government. And then another thing is behavioral change. Now, behavioral change in the sense that people just feel government properties are not our properties, we don't care about it, are just properties we should spoil, you get. And what's better that is that long stay of lack of ownership. A lot of times government implement projects in communities without giving the community ownership. And what our project is doing has never been to antagonize the government or to be antagonistic, but largely, educate the people to understand citizen engagement is part of government. And over time, when this local government autonomy conversation started, one of the first things we wanted doing, or we're starting to do now, is to post on tracking, right? And then start up a campaign called Know Your LGAs. Now, Know Your LGA is a campaign that we intend to have people understand what are the roles and responsibilities of a local government system, from the councillors to the chairman to the supervisory councillors, and what are those things they are meant to do. And immediately after that, we intend to do a nationwide campaign, highlighting all the budget representation, all the budget presentations of local government, so that people will be able to understand that this is what the local government is projecting. And also tell people that when we talk about budget, a lot of times people think immediately you say budget, the money is there. But the money is projection, right? To teach people about a budget cycle and see how people's behavior will change towards understanding that democracy that we're practicing, it's all about demand and supply, question and answer. And that's what we're doing now. So we're trying to build trust between government and people, and we're trying to change people's behavior towards citizen engagement and then community mobilization.
All right, great work that you're doing with Follow the Money. But then now that we've established that there's a seeming lack of political will on the part of the politicians to do what is necessary, how then do individuals, residents of these local governments, come out to get those who represent their interests rather than that of the state governors?
So reality is, I think this is it's not a new thing for a lot of people. For young people like us, it's largely closely a new thing, because we've never known a system of local government having autonomy and what have you. So the reality is, one of the first thing we encourage the people in local government is to know that being in that office does not mean you don't belong to a constituency. You belong to a constituency, you belong to a ward. So you're just opportune to be in the office, knowing fully that all of us cannot be in the office, and that's why we choose you to be in the office. So it will do us good. One of the things we will continue to advise these people is, it will do us good to be able to say we put the budget or all the doings, right, of the local government in a public domain for the public to know about this. And in each and every local government you go to, there is a directorate of social mobilization, right? So that social mobilization is to be able to inform people about what they are doing, or what the local government is doing, or what the local government is into, because it's a public office. And then the National Orientation Agency is there in the 774 local government. They have offices, they have staffs there. What they are meant to do is to educate people on whatever is happening, from the federal government to the subnational government and to the local government. So how do we effectively use this number of people that we're implementing? One of the first thing that has been wrong with us, before I got in here, one of the conversation is scrapping EFCC by some state governors. The reality is there are multiplicity of agencies. Before EFCC, police was doing what EFCC is doing. Before EFCC, ICPC was there, right? So for me, I feel there are quite a number of things that we could have used. So again, one of the things that has affected me when thinking about leadership in Nigeria is the fact that NIPS Kuru, that's the National Institute for
Policy Strategy.
Yeah, that is meant to do something around leadership, has been in existence since 1979. Right? And so for me, I feel it should be open to one certain level, that every leader should undergo that processes, because if you see their courses, their modules and what have you, could understand that it's a robust thing, that you're not coming into power without knowing what to do, unless and until, if let's say you acquire the knowledge but you don't want to implement the model. But the school is there, it's just a few number of people that are going and what have you. So I think the whole overall system, both from citizen to the people in power, need to continuously change. So there is that overall system change, like what we have of multidimensional poverty, where the poverty of learning, right, the poverty of perception, the poverty of understanding is part of our government, and we need to eradicate it.
Can you bullet point some of what is necessary that should be done to ensure that we see this change that we so clamor for, especially at the local level?
So for me, I feel the local government should be a government of the people, by the people, for the people, through the people, because it's the closest to the people, right? Can we begin to conduct need assessment? Local government chairmen conduct need assessment to ascertain what are the immediate need of people that the local government can provide, right? I mean, it's a good thing to see local government taking up big responsibilities like what we see in Lagos, a local government
constructing model grammar schools.
It's a fantastic idea, right? But in places you can't compare a Yobe state and a Lagos state. In states like that, can you look at what are the immediate problems and see how you can immediately address it? Hence the point. And see, Nigerians are happy people, and we are very, very understanding. I tell you, if a local government chairman will conduct that periodic town hall, periodic need assessment meetings with communities and what have you, those things he lacks, they are very good people that are willing to give him support in what he likes. So I think there is lack of support from the citizen and the government. And then people that go into power need to come in clean, need to understand why they are going there for, not to come as a capitalist alone. I have spent my money to get here, and then I want
compensation by state governors.
I want to get that thing, or the issue of compensation. And I think that one of the first words I mentioned is the legal frameworks and the constitutional issues, personal relationship, relationships and autonomy, and then autonomy and accountability.
Indeed.
All these things, we need to address them. If we don't address them, people are coming into local government because of a compensative position. I mean, what do you expect that person to do?
Indeed, so much said, and hopefully we would see the implementation of the local government autonomy come to benefit the generality of Nigerians. Mukhtar Moddibo, the Secretary General of Follow the Money International, has been speaking to us on the local government autonomy and some of the impediments that it currently faces in terms of implementation. Thank you very much, Mukhtar, for being a part of the program.
Thank you for having me.
Yes, indeed. And now we go on another break, and when we return, it will be time to review the front pages of some select national dailies, of course. Join us again.